Hey guys, it's Wednesday, March 31st. It is time for the Topher Spin Meteorites Hangout. The Knowledge Bolide crew has assembled. I've been really torn and drawn thin lately, so today's hangout is going to be a little bit more free will, not as much scripted, and then hopefully we have some good show and tell. I know Pat Brown definitely has some stuff. But one thing that Arthur Wagner was just asking me about is every time I get a meteorite officially classified and published on the Met Bull, I get it tattooed on my body. It's just one of the things I do. So last night I went and got 2 new ones added to my arm. I got the Beast, the one that I classified with Martin Lawler, and then Irichidia 004, my new Winonaite.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
you're going to need a longer arm at some point here.
Yeah, so I have a few more to go here, and then I'm probably going to start over here or start over here, probably over here, and then I still got this arm. So
you look very comfortable in the barbershop.
Oh yeah, I was, and this is my first after COVID professional haircut and goatee trim. So I figured after all that hard work, I deserved a little special treatment. So
there you go.
Does anyone like to start off the show and tell? I don't know if Pat was ready or not.
I am ready.
Oh, sweet. Let me highlight you.
Turn on the...
And before you go, let me just say I want to show my appreciation once again for everyone who spent ridiculous 4.5 hours with us on Saturday for the live sale. We had a blast. We had little mini hangouts during the breaks. Go, Pat. You're good.
Yeah. So I have one that I've been buying a bunch of meteorites, but I've also been trying to clean up stuff and organize things a little more. And I've discovered a whole bunch of stuff that I bought that I'd forgotten about. So this one, show it on this camera first, is 547 grams and change.
Mm-hmm.
And it does show one chondrule there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, big
one. Yeah.
Light green color. But if you'll notice, the rest of it pretty much just looks like a brown lump.
Mm.
So this is on the Brio camera. It's a 4K camera, but I think it's running in HD. You can see there are some patches of fusion crust as well, but most of it is just sort of a fractured surface. So let's go from there over.
Pat, is that white chondrule a metal chondrule that's on that one side?
No, it's actually
circular.
Yeah, it's actually a it's not a metal chondrule. It is a regular silicate chondrule.
Okay.
So now I've changed the lighting around and changed cameras. Excuse me. So this camera has reflected cross-polarized light and LED illumination through the polarizer. And then I've got a true 150 watt LED bouncing off of the ceiling. And I've messed around with this lighting quite a bit, so it's pretty optimized. But that surface that we looked at that had the one light colored chondrule, is this.
Oh my God,
beautiful.
So mess around with intensity just a little bit. So all of the rest, so you can see the one bright chondrule. It's a little overexposed, a little blown out.
Wow.
But you can see all the other chondrules that are there.
Oh yeah.
And those are actually covered by a layer of desert varnish. And on this surface too, these chondrules are not visible, in the regular lighting, but in this optimized reflected cross-polarized light, they all of a sudden show up
and jump right out.
Pat, let me interrupt you for 1 second.
Sure.
Reflected cross-polarized. He has just normal light bouncing around in the room, and then he has 2 polarization filters that are making sure that he's controlling what angle the light is entering the filters.
Yeah, so we're going to give away my lighting secrets here. So switch back to the other camera. And this is something I figured at some point we'll do a microscopy 101 as it applies to meteorites. So this is a document camera, not a super good one, but it's as good as I've come up with so far. And then this is a specially designed reflected cross-polarized light microscope light that I've clamped to the front of the camera. So there are a bunch of LEDs. If I turn them down enough, there you can see the individual LEDs. Yeah. There's quite a few of them in there. And
144.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the number. And they shine through a linear polarized filter that can be rotated. And then in the optical path down the center, there's another polarizing filter. And by rotating this outside one to be at 90 degrees from the inside one, we can effectively cancel out the surface reflections.
So any light that's reflecting that's not coming in at the exact angle you want is canceled out, and therefore we're now allowed to peer beneath the surface a little bit because we're not being interfered with by all of the reflected light.
Right. We're not being messed with by that. So here, that's with the 2 polarizing filters approximately in the same orientation. And then as we rotate towards 90 degrees, somewhere in there is 90 degrees. So when we do that, then this thin layer of desert varnish, which is still kind of a mystery. We don't completely understand it. We believe that for most deserts, and this is something that happens in many deserts around the world, but we believe that it's actually a biological process with bacteria living in a film on the rock, and they leave behind some carbonate materials similar to the PAHs, which I'm not going to remember the name of, poly something or other. I can't pull it up right off the top of my head.
That's all right.
But those PAHs are
polycyclic aromatic.
There you go. Thank you. Polycyclic aromatic.
Wow.
So those are the sort of carbonate compounds that they found on or in the Allen Hills 84001 Martian meteorite, and they definitely can be biotic, as we believe these ones are in the desert varnish film. But we think now that the Allen Hills 84001 source is abiotic, not from life. So this technique will allow you to see through desert varnish, but it won't allow you to see through fusion crust. And so this dark area and then the stripe that kind of goes mostly up, that's very dark, that is actually fusion crust.
Mhm.
And
This is a
Interesting.
good diagnostic tool for telling the difference between fusion crust and desert varnish beyond seeing the lithography of the stone.
yes, yes, you can see the lithology of the stone through the desert varnish.
That's
And,
beautiful.
yeah. So this one, there's one more point to make with this one too. Oh, and there's I don't know for certain if these are chondrules, but sticking out of the top, the knobby bits
Yeah,
there.
I was looking at that.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of dark ones behind them. And I think at least the dark ones behind them are chondrules. But we, a lot of these stones that show lots of chondrules, you know, are set aside and they're sold for a larger amount of money per gram. But this one is actually a 25 cent a gram out of the big box,
Wow.
one from Tucson in 2020.
Oh,
Nice.
Now, not everyone that you dig through the box is going to be like that, of course.
No, we
but-
dug through kilos and kilos and kilos.
Yeah, I'd say somewhere in the high hundreds, low
Yeah.
thousands of kilos.
Over 16 days.
Yes. So there's my standard N52 neodymium magnet, and this one
Oh, just a little dance.
pretty low.
Wow.
If you get it in just the right spot, you can pick up the magnet, but you can.
Now, I'm curious, is that on one of those round mounds that might be a protruding chondrule?
No, but I can
I
check.
really am curious if that's magnetic.
It's not clear whether those are. Can you guys see the magnet and such? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No, I don't think those. I don't think those protruding bits are particularly.
I'm liking
Iron
that
filled.
then. I'm liking that.
Yeah.
so
So-
that's an L designation?
Yes. So because of the extremely low magnetic pull, and because of the chondrule size, with many of these chondrules being in the over a millimeter sort of size range,
Mhm.
then we can say with pretty good confidence that this would be an LL. Now, absolutely is not classified and not meant to be a substitution for classification, but is sort of a pre-qualification to get an advanced look. And also on this one, if you look and see that there's some area in between the chondrules, there's some matrix in between the chondrules. So this one is probably not a type 3, but is a great candidate to be a type 4. So probable LL4.
And that's just a found treasure you already owned.
Yes. You know, when we go to Tucson, we put a lot of effort into digging through the boxes, and I carry a reflected cross-polarized light rig, and I improve on it or invent a new one each trip to Tucson, and I'll have a new one for 2022.
You don't need to be talking about that.
So here's meteorite number 2. And this one is definitely weathered. It's got some relic fusion crust and quite a few cracks and rusting and so forth on it. But if you look at the shape, it's very much a Hershey's Kiss sort of
Absolutely.
shape. So this one would count as an oriented meteorite, not by flow lines, not by rollover lip, but by overall shape. And this area, let me spin the polarizer so you can see the surface a little better. This area is quite interesting in that it looks like those may be weathered small regmaglyphs.
Huh.
Wow, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. Huh?
Yeah. You are lagging.
Yeah. So, digging through the boxes, we occasionally find interesting stuff. And then you can rediscover them at home if you're as disorganized as I am. So this is another one that doesn't look all that interesting or promising from the outside. This one is a dig through the box find from Tucson 2014, but got it home and cut it. Now let's get our polarizers back close to.
Oh,
wow.
So this one, it's got some larger chondrules in it. It's quite low magnetic attraction. It will now it's not as big a meteorite.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
One.
Yeah, so this one is the very low magnetic attraction, reasonably large chondrules, bigger than a millimeter, and very tightly packed. So probably a type 3, and maybe even a chance for being a low subtype of type 3.
Oh man, that'd be nice for out of the generic pick me bucket.
Yeah, unfortunately, that one's only 45 grams.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when we say we pick through the bins, we're talking about humongous Tupperware bins, with rocks piled this high, and as you move one or two, the rest crumble down. So you basically have to get a bin, put it here, and move rock by rock, one by one, eye looping it, putting it down, pick up the other one, eye looping it, putting it down, and it's a painstaking experience, but it's a day well spent as far as I'm concerned.
It's terrible. I don't recommend that anybody's out there competing with us for those.
Yeah, seriously. It's you never find anything. It's all overpriced, and the sellers are just so dishonest and terrible guys. All lies.
What is the reaction of the patrons? Are they viewing you as you're handling all those meteorites?
Well, it's kind of like it's kind of like Vegas, once you get to a certain point of card trickery and advanced counting skills, you're noticed when you walk in. Well, when the Meteorite Mafia members walk into their place with all matching eye loops and everything, and we're pulling it out and discussing, and but the funny thing about it though is when it gets quiet. Because
somebody's found something good.
Yeah, because instead of like, hey Pat, check this one out, I'd be like, hey Pat, hey, what do you?
And then there's all sorts of furtive stuff of I got this one and it's 4 kilograms, but I only have $600. So there's money being loaned back and forth and all sorts of stuff. And of course, this doesn't happen in 5 or 10 minutes. This happens over a period of hours.
Sometimes, like, literally we'll just post up in someone's shop and pull up the bins, and they know that we're there for the next 4 hours. Especially when I'm going through Sakota lens, and they put I've literally gone through a pile of Sakota Lin irons, really small ones, from 50 grams down, and it's like 5 kilos of it. So there's thousands of pieces, and I literally went through with an eye loop one by one, and I would move as the sun went. As the sun moved, I'd move, and luckily I'm trusted enough to take the material outside and go through it. But after going through 5 kilos in about 7 hours, I walked away with 150 grams.
Wow.
And it was beautiful material. But the thing is, they set the price ahead of time and said anything I won from there, and I made sure that I knew, that we all knew, anything I pull from this box, that's the price I'm paying. Okay, let me set up. Hey, Arthur, you have your hand up. Let's go to you and see what you got for us.
Yeah, today I picked up a polarizing microscope from I believe it's a Japanese made, and I cannot find for the life of me any information on it. It has a H diagonal / I with a number 19900, and this thing might have been made in 1947 or 1948, but it still works, and it works well. So, but moving the optics, each optic here has 2 screws that hold it in place. And from what I understand from the gentleman I got it from today, you don't want to be fiddling with them because it's very hard to get them back into the proper position for viewing. So anyway, it's a new toy to play with. Hopefully I'll get some pictures through it. I have the revolving stage, which you can see, which is
that's
360
nice.
degrees, and then I have the XY stage for the horizontal and the vertical as well. So it's pretty complete.
That's nice. Once you have your sample down, you never have to move your sample. You just move the actual slide panel.
Yeah, the 2 screws on each of the objectives are centering screws. It's on a mount that allows the objective to move. And actually, they're not terribly difficult to adjust. You get your thin section on there, pick some feature, put it in the center, and then spin the stage and diddle the centering screws to get it centered up.
Some pretty nice setup, man. We can't hear you. Oh. He went into a black hole and we can no longer hear him. Well, looks like a nice instrument. And yeah, I have a microscope as well. I just got my lighting kit from Pat, and the one thing I still have to do is he has to explain to me how to do my thin sections and look at my thin sections. So Pat, after we're done with this hangout, let's end the meeting, and then you and I hop on. I need a one-on-one with my microscope, okay?
Yeah, you bet. Do some over the shoulder. Yep.
Sweet. Let's go to Mr. Ron and friend.
Yeah, hi. I just want to introduce my little granddaughter. This is Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Say hi.
Hey.
Oh, I know. You can't run away.
She loves meteorites. She thinks this is all boring. But just say hi. Say hello.
Hi.
Say bye.
See ya.
That's all.
That's hilarious. Yeah, they always want to be on camera until they're on camera. Then all of a sudden they're hiding behind your leg.
Yeah, she told me a couple of minutes. Can I go now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. I'll shut up now.
No problem. I wanted to, I do have a little bit of the presentation for today. I made a little bit, so let me pause and show you what hold on. I just had a hand go up by a VIP crew member. So let's check in with Chris Monk real quick. Spotlight for everyone. Hopefully that's Chris Monk.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I just have a couple to show today. The first one I wanted to show this because this weekend at the sale, we sold the sister stone to this Buzzard Coulee. It is 10.2 grams.
Cool.
It is an end cut, so it has a lot of fusion crust around the edges and on the back. So that's a witness fall. I'm kind of into witness falls, and so I like that one. And then
that one
another
one. That one is beautiful, and honestly has the best surface to weight ratio for both crust and surface.
Yes, that is one of my favorites by far. And then another one that I won from John Higgins on a eBay deal. This is a CV reduced 3. It's 3.5 grams. It is NWA 13385. But it has nice little chondrules in there.
Yes.
That you can see.
Yeah, beautiful.
And to put you on the spot, you said it's reduced. Reduced in what? Do you know?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
Honestly, when I first purchased it and it said CV red 3, I thought it was because of the iron that made it red.
Yep.
It has to do with the iron, but so there's oxidized and reduced. So oxidized indicates that most of the iron is combined with oxygen to form rust or one of the other iron oxides. And reduced means that it was in an atmosphere that had very little oxygen, and so the metal tends to not be combined with oxygen.
Very good. Thank you, Pat.
Yeah, thank you. That's I asked you so I'd learn myself. No, I knew it was reduced in oxygen, but I didn't know exactly how detailed. So that was awesome. So those are the pieces you want to show, buddy?
Yep, that's it. Thank you. I just wanted to contribute.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. And by the way, this is the man behind the scenes who made the sale possible and made it so successful. So thank you, buddy.
No problem. Anytime.
Yeah, it was. We actually had a blast. We had a lot of fun, and yeah, it's pretty exhausting. It was a good time, but it was exhausting on us mentally and on my throat. So we got another Mike Kelly and friend coming in.
I had a little compatriot who wants to show off something. You want to show him what you got?
I
Hi
got
there.
NWA 7831.
Here, hold it up so they can see it.
Nice.
7831.
Who gave you that?
Oz.
So what do you say?
Thank you, Oz.
And you remember what the other one is?
All right.
No.
KT Boundary.
KT Boundary.
Nice.
That's
She
awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much. That's cool. Yeah, Oz is a very generous person, and yeah, that NWA 7831, if I got it correct, is Diogenite, little pieces of Diogenite crystals, and we're going to actually talk about Diogenite a little bit today in Meteorite 101. We're going to be talking about Achondrites. So let me go ahead and pause this and we'll start the presentation. All right, so here we are on the presentation. We've watched a lot of witnessed meteorite or meteor falls lately, and now we're going to show you what the difference is between a meteor and space junk, because there's been a lot of reports of people seeing massive meteors coming down and they're not. So we're going to hopefully have a little discussion about living on Mars. Maxime gave us a video of some really cool microscope work on a low, like L3 point something. We don't have a tour of the universe today, so what we're going to do is encourage you to explore the solar system by yourself, and I'll show you how to do that. Rather than pick on an eBay faker of the week, I decided to give you an alternate to eBay that you guys may not know about. And then, as always, through the show and tell. So first off, all credit is on the screen, but this is, let me turn on my trusty dusty laser pointer. So this kind of fragmentation, man, if we saw that on a meteorite or a meteor, we're all about that kind of fragmentation. But this is actually what a what space debris looks like. Rather than a meteorite. This is moving far too slowly. There's way too many pieces, and it stays lit and visible for far too long. Here's another example. It looked like a bolide at first, but it just keeps on burning and burning and burning and going. So what these are actually Falcon 9 second stages returning back and burning up. Look at how long that's staying lit. So whenever you see something like this, it's going to be space debris and not meteorites. Look at how it's now breaking up in all those pieces. I would love to witness this, to be honest with you. I would even love to own some space debris of man-made origin. So this is an event that was, again, I talked last week about the web page where you can report a shooting star, an observation, and it's the American
Meteor Society.
Thank you. And so they even give sightings like space debris event numbers. So they link you to videos of space debris. I thought this was cool because you can see the moon in the back. Reminds me of one of Oz's rocket flights at night. Not his personal crew. But look at all those little pieces of space debris. As the the rocket engine or whatever falls apart, it creates the debris. So that was just a quick little demonstration because we've seen a lot of real meteor entering the atmosphere lately, and with all the new launching and everything that's up there right now, we're going to see a lot more space debris coming back, and I really hope a whole lot of space debris starts falling out, or we're going to start creating a prison for ourselves here on Earth. We won't be able to.
They had a report over the UK on March 28th, a daylight bolide. Did you see that one?
I know of it, but I wasn't able to obtain any videos or trustworthy photographs, so I didn't include that. I figured today, rather than focus on meteors, I wanted to focus on space debris. Rather than focus on eBay scammers, I'm going to focus on an alternative to eBay. This is the anti-show. Instead of us giving you a tour of the universe, you're going to get a tour. You're going to be your tour guide for your own solar system. But our first stop of the day is in Belgium with Maxime. So let me know if the audio is fine, and here we go, Maxime.
Hi everyone, Maxime here. I hope you're all doing good. Let's have a look today at some new microscope pictures I've taken in the last few weeks, including the new meteorite Punggur, which is currently being classified. So it was very interesting to look at it in a microscope, and it looks very unique to me. So I will show that to you right now. And next we will have a look at some other meteorites I received not so long ago. So let's go. Let's first have a look at Punggur. The first thing you really notice when looking at this meteorite are the large metal flakes and veins. Beside these metal veins, very few or no chondrules are visible, meaning this rock was heavily metamorphosed and or shocked. The matrix looks also very granular, as you can see. You can also observe some deep green crystals like this particular one, probably pyroxene. However, the part I prefer on this particular specimen is this edge, showing some fusion crust here, but becoming truly beautiful when you zoom on it, as you discover this very granular texture full of little greenish crystals.
Sweet.
I have not seen it this up close yet.
Also, I am not sure about this, but it looks like there is a kind of relict chondrule there, but that should be verified. This meteorite, probably an H-melt breccia, looks very strange and unique under the microscope, and it makes no doubt it is a very interesting stone. Now let's wait for its official classification very soon, I guess, and I really look forward to reading the Met.Bell report about this one.
We're gonna have to bust out my slice.
Now I would like to show you a part slice of NWA 12547 I received some weeks ago, which shows a beautiful dual lithology, as you can see. So NWA 12547 is classified as an L3 melt breccia, what is a kind of paradoxal classification. Indeed, this meteorite is actually composed of primitive chondritic clasts in a melt rock matrix. Chondritic clasts are of L3 type, meaning they are quite unaltered, as you can observe on this part of the slice, which is full of chondrules and inclusions. However, around those chondritic clasts, you'll find a melt rock matrix. Such matrix is a witness of a very violent past, full of heavy impacts that highly disturb the primary structure of the rock, and thus the chondrules. So now you may see why it is a very paradoxal rock. How did such L3 unaltered material found a way into a heavily altered melt rock matrix? This looks quite mysterious. Now, I am far from being a specialist in breccias, and I am quite unsure about this specimen's look, so I would love to get your opinion on that white part here. It is of course very different and is surely not L3 material. You can see some chondrules in there, but they are much more altered. So is this white part the melt rock matrix, or is it simply another and different chondritic clast? I would love to get your opinion on that because I don't really know what I am looking at here, and that would be great for me to know that. In any case, this slice looks really great with its dual lithology, and you can observe some nice inclusions in that L3 part.
I'm gonna pause it. Let me see here. Right there is pretty.
Nice slice.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's beautiful.
What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so that could be a chondrule, could be a broken chondrule, or could be another inclusion that you commonly see in L3s and LL3s. But again, very metamorphosed. The very dark matrix and very sparse and very dark matrix between the chondrules is characteristic of LL3s and L3s. And particularly of the lower petrological types. With regard to the lighter material, I don't think that is melt. I think that's probably, being a breccia, this has different types of material that are welded together in one rock. If it were melt, the metal that's present there would generally turn into spheres or spheroids similar to the bencubenites. And not always, but usually when you have a melt, that melted material is very dark and surprisingly featureless. So you wouldn't see a lot of chondrules. And
this whole white part over here is just,
yeah,
really unique.
It is very unique, and I think it's probably a type 5 perhaps material.
And then I love when a chondrule gets cut not only on 2 axes. So you have a view of it like this and a view of it on the side, and you can really see the crystal structure within the chondrule itself and how big the chondrule is. It is a 360 basically.
Yeah, absolutely. We get sort of a 3D look at it, and the same thing with the big inclusion there in the
this is
lower left area.
Like this right here.
No, the one you were pointing to at
okay.
At about 7 o'clock. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So pretty interesting. Let me see if I can get it to play again.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is pretty, man.
Yeah, it's very, very pretty.
Lastly, here is a little
primitive.
polished piece of a legendary meteorite I had never owned in more than 10 years of meteorites collecting, Esquel. This comes from Topher's personal collection, and I must thank him for the great package I received some weeks ago with lots of goodies and other stuff. So thank you very much, Topher. I really love my new Esquel and the label you provide with it too.
You're welcome.
I looked at it under the microscope and I found out it has a very nice colorful olivine crystal there, showing beautiful reflections.
Jaw-dropping.
And it's tiny too.
Wow.
Esquel is so beautiful though, and again, we talked last time about the continuous substitution with magnesium and iron in the olivine crystals in pallasites, and so here that green crystal is almost straight up magnesium, very, very little iron.
Mm-hmm. And then one thing that we see in a lot of prized meteorites or pallasites is this area of is it Chassignite?
Yeah, that's actually an internal crack in the olivine crystal, and you get because of light interference across a narrow crack, you get a rainbow sort of effect, and so you'll see sometimes if the crack is of a tapering width, you'll see almost all the colors of the rainbow.
See, and this one's full of it. You can see there are more little flecks of it there, and like you said, it's due to the underlying structural layers of the olivine in there.
Reflections.
Nice.
That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I also hope you will have a great hangout this week, and see you next time, probably in 2 or 3 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for submitting your great video, buddy. Love the content. Yeah, and again, I never cheat with his. I watch him live with you guys for the first time, but I did click through to make sure it works, and I saw he was doing my Esquel today, so I was pretty excited. We're gonna do a real quick Meteorite 101 today, just because it's supposed to be 100,000-foot view, and that's how we're going to keep it. I'm literally just going to show off a few different pieces to show you the different textures, and hopefully that'll align your thinking a little bit about why they're all classified together. So we originally started talking about let me turn my laser pointer on. We originally started talking about the stonies, then the irons, then the stony irons. Well, now we're talking about the achondrites. So these achondrite stony materials, these are differentiated material. all day long. We've been, and especially on the L3s that Pat was showing earlier, the LL3s that Pat was showing earlier potentially, and the one in the video from Maxime, we're talking about this kind of material that did not go through the heating, the melting, and the separation, the differentiation. So now we're talking about achondrite material, not chondrites. It's achondrites, and it's coming from literally the outside of the planetesimal. So the eye chart of meteoritics that, yeah, no one, I would hate this. Well, I bet someone knows this all, but Jesus. I mean, it literally took a whole bunch of very, very smart people to put it together. You can see the names down here. So I thank them for allowing us to use this in our ongoing education. We started with the stonies, which are 94% of all meteorites. We went to the irons, which represent another 5. So now we're up to 98%. We talked about stony irons. Now we're up to like 99-ish%. Or hold on, this is 94% of falls fall into these two categories. I'm sorry. So the chondrites, the stonies, take up about 86%. So 8% of 94. So you're talking about like a small amount fall into the achondrites, and there are a bunch of them. So I didn't try to get one of everything, but just to show you, I'm going to show you a Winonaite. If someone has an Acapulcoite and a Diogenite and a Braconite, I would love that. But I have a Ureilite, and those are more on the primitive scale. And then when you go to more evolved ones, you get the Aubrites, the Lunars, and then the Martians. And you'll hear SNC a lot when people discuss Martians. So we'll talk about what SNC is. And then you'll also hear the term Vesta or Vestin or Vestoid. You hear about the HED group. So we're going to discuss the HED group a little bit. Just kind of, not that we want you to learn exactly what the terminology, how they are different, but just that they exist and that they're members of these classes and that they're related. So that's really the takeaway. And anyone who has something to interject, by all means, this is an open education session. So right here, and I want to use this with caution. This has not been officially classified. There is mounting evidence for a new group of meteorites, and this is the potential classification group that should be or may be created. So I wanted to show an example of it. So over here on the left, I'm very proud to say this is my brand new Eucrite 004. This is a very high metal Winonaite. So it gives you an example. This is really unusual to have this much metal. Normally you're having very sparse metal like up in here or even less.
Yeah, Winonaites start out rare, and then having high metal Winonaites means ultra rare, tiny fraction of ultra rare.
Mm-hmm. And just to help explain that it's like a sliding scale. We've talked about orientation. Is a meteorite oriented or is it not? And sometimes it's a yes and no, but a lot of times it's a sliding scale. So a lot of times, excuse me very much, there's meteorites that are all classified together. And then there's outliers like these high metal Winonaites that are outliers. And then there's another group of irons that are silicated irons that are kind of an outlier of their group. And when you look at the silicated irons and the high metal Winonaites, and you start looking at them, you start seeing a progression and possibly correlation. Hint on the word possibly. It's So that was one of the things we were looking for in our classification of Eurychidia 004. We were looking and spending a good amount of money and time to hopefully get a transitional class between Winonites and silicated metals, or at least an anomalous designation. But moving over to the Ureilites, another very rare meteorite classification, you can definitely see the internal structure of it. And let me actually zoom in real quick, and maybe that helps you guys a little bit. This is the Winonaite over here, beautiful high metal and etching. But this is the very coarse grain of a Ureilite. And Ureilites are extremely hard to cut. And that's because they often contain microdiamonds or nanodiamonds. Now, don't get your hopes up. These are not diamonds you're ever going to see. Even with an electron scanning microscope, you can't see them. So if anyone's contacting me, telling me they've seen nanodiamonds or whatever, it's instant out the door. But the way the crystals are aligned, when you look on a microscopic level, the angles are three-sided, and they join at 120 degrees, giving them the triple junctions, what we call it. So like I said, NWA 2400 is also a pair of NWA 11, just NWA 11.
Yep, 011.
Yeah, and it has an extremely low total known weight, so you're not going to basically get it. So what you basically have to do is go for paired material, and NWA 2400 is officially classified as paired. When we say officially classified as paired, when you go in the Met Bowl and pull up NWA 2400, it'll list in the notes and actually give you a hyperlink out to NWA 11, thus proving it is the same material. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where I've heard discussions and seen lectures where they're talking about creating a new group, and this would be a potential name for it. Moving on, we have more of the altered, evolved, I think was the term.
Yeah, so taking a step back real quickly, so we've talked about chondrites. And
did I go to the last slide or this one?
No, you're fine with this
Okay.
slide here. I was metaphorically taking a step back. So the chondrites all have chondrules to one degree or another. Some of the new type 7s are metamorphosed enough that the chondrules are very sparse, very few and far between. But they're more primitive material, unprocessed. Whereas this material, achondrites, don't show chondrites, don't show chondrules, and they are much more heavily processed, much more recrystallized, and that planet making process of differentiation has gone on, and so chemically they are from the same original source material, but heavily processed and quite different than the more primitive material.
Thank you. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to zoom in on my piece of Punggur or whatever we're saying it now, because when Maxime was zooming in, I'm seeing crystal structure that I'm extremely familiar with. Now it may exist elsewhere. I'm not saying it's limited to only what I've seen, but that crystalline structure, when he zoomed in, that looks really like an ungrouped achondrite to me. Like it does not look like an H5 melt something. So
yeah. So that's a melt is when, from impact melting, when something melts, it generally recools, cools down very, very quickly and doesn't get a chance to recrystallize.
You can see the crystals in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
these meteorites that have undergone a lot of processing have undergone a lot of solid state recrystallization. So the atoms actually move, it's not molten, but the atoms actually move around inside the rock, and they will join up with other atoms of the same type and produce crystals that are of one particular compound.
I thought it was interesting when you look at the eye chart a little closer, you find out that Aubrites are a lot closer to lunar than you think. So here is an example of three. You'd think they are very rare, but if I asked many non-collectors what's the rarest one here, they would probably say, oh, a piece of the moon. That'd be false. That little piece of Angrite over there, that is a rare little puppy. In fact, let's go back to the eye chart real quick and see if we can find Angrites. Angrites are down here. Medium coarse grain, basalts. It gives you all the. Go ahead.
Now I do.
It gives you all the information you want. So I will post this eye chart on my Facebook page. So when you hear us talking about a Diogenite or a Eucrite or an Angrite, you can see where it fits in on the scale. Because right now we're talking about the evolved ones. We just talked about an Aubrite, a Lunar. Now we're going to Martians. So there is your Aubrite, the very, very famous Norton County from Kansas. Mark Lyons Twat 005, which is the stained glass Lunar.
Nice.
A beautiful slice, yeah. And it is translucent as heck too.
Yep.
And then over here we have the very rare Angrite named Diogenite. Diogenite is known for having these vugs and in them. These vugs are where other crystals, other softer crystals, or water-soluble crystals have not lasted. I'll put it that way. Unless Pat
and some of them, we don't understand. The thin section that Stephen Amera had at the Tucson Show in 2020 showed some really nice round vesicles, which in 3D, of course, they're spherical, and there was recrystallization growth inside those on the thin section. Very, very interesting. And I dare say not. I've never heard anybody put forth an explanation for everything that's going on there.
Yeah, that's kind of why I stopped talking and started mumbling and then said your name. Yeah. So on Aubrites, you'll see these long fins, almost scales is a textural feature of it. Here is like a beautiful slice of the moon, and then the Diogenite. Now we move on to the favorites. And I don't have a piece of Chassignite, so I had to borrow this from Bruno Fecte. So thank you for unknowingly allowing me to use your photo. But a lot of times when you hear people talk about Mars, you'll hear the term SNC tossed around a lot. What that refers to are the three main classifications of Martian meteorites. Now there's more, but the original three are SNC: Shergottite, Nakhlite, and Chassignite. These were obviously named after the first ones that they found, which was Shergottite, Nakhlite, and Chassignite. And this one right here, I want to hope the video plays. Let me know if the volume is good for you guys. 1 second.
Here's a nice slice of NWA 11431 Martian Shergottite. This is just under 15 grams.
Now those are not chondrules.
Nope, they are crystals.
So I think that's a good video because it's a really it's 15-gram slice. It's pretty massive, but you can totally tell the difference when I see a Nakhlite. By the way, Shergottites, you know, whole stone, you're looking about $60 a gram. Sliced anywhere from 80 to 120 to $300, depending on what material you're talking about, whether it's classified or if it's a single stone classification. Like that one I just showed you is a single stone classification, and I bought it from the main mass holder. So I know exactly what it is. I know exactly how much of the stone there is, and he knows where all the pieces are. So that's extra valuable to me. But if you look at this Nakhlite in the middle, it's totally different. And when you zoom in on it, it looks like the crystals, it's unmistakable. Once you've seen it and you look at it, you recognize it right away. And then the last one, now that's the end, the Nakhlite. Now we're going over to the C, the Chassignite, or the Chassignite, named after Chassignite. And this is NWA 2737. And I've never had the opportunity to own one, so I'm living and seeing it here for the first time with you guys.
These three types of meteorites from Mars are all igneous crystal cumulates. So within a volume of magma that stayed liquid long enough for the crystals to form, and then in the gravitational field on Mars, these crystals are slightly denser than the liquid that they formed from, and so they settled to the bottom of these pockets. And these pockets were excavated when normal meteorites hit Mars hard enough to excavate the material and then eject it into space. And early on, before we really had developed all the lines of reasoning to prove that the Shergottites, Nakhlites, and Chassignites are lunar, or sorry, are Martian material. They were grouped together. They obviously looked different than other things, and it fell on different parts of Earth. And even at the American Museum of Natural History, they were displayed and together as SNCs, or we call them SNCs, but no mention of them being Martian.
So Pat,
yes.
If I could interrupt you, excuse me.
No worries.
Where Mars has a very weak magnetosphere, these crystals wouldn't be lined up magnetically, correct?
I do not know.
I see.
I do not know if that's the case, and I on the moon, they thought that it might have had a magnetic field at one time. So you know, those things can change over time as the planets or planetesimals cool. But there are meteorites that have crystals that are aligned by their magnetic dipole. I don't know if that's the case with these. I don't think so. And I've got one quick funny story about Nakhlites if you want to hear it.
Okay.
Yep. Go for it.
So Nakhla, which fell in 1911 in Egypt in Nakhla al-Habar, was rumored to have killed a dog. And we have a good friend who does business as Nakhla dog meteorites. When I was married, the kids' mother wanted a dog badly, but she didn't want a regular dog. She wanted one of these little little terrier, Yorkshire Terrier dogs, the ones that can yap every 3 seconds for days at a time. And anyhow, it just wouldn't work out. So we decided instead to get a parrot. And this was the one chance I had to name a pet. Everybody else in the household named all the pets, but I named this one. And so the parrot's name, was a brown-headed parrot, parrot's name was Nakhla. And I don't think the kids' mother ever found out that it was named Nakhla because getting the parrot killed the idea of getting a dog.
Hey, Topher, I got one to show you.
Okay, awesome. Let me pause for 1 second. All right.
You were talking about wanting to see a piece of that Chassignite 2737.
Yes. There she
Chassignite
is.
2737.
Oh,
That is all of a whopping 0.054 grams of it, but it's cut really thin, and you could definitely see the the same black with little white specks in there. That
Same exact.
photo.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Sweet.
and you were wondering about seeing a piece of Acapulcoite.
Yeah.
This is 8R Acapulcoite. So that's a little individual there. And those ones you can find them on eBay every once in a while. They're not too bad.
Yes, I think Sahara Gem is the
Nordine Hazelmet.
Yeah. Thank you.
Has those. And I know you also said Bracconite. So this is NWA 11756. So that's about a 5 gram slice of Bracconite.
And
nice.
Could you do a magnet test on that for me, please?
Sure. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. These impromptu magnet tests. We tell everyone magnets are not a good indicator for a meteorite, but we know it's a meteorite. I'm just curious how magnetic Brackonites are.
Yeah, magnets are a terrible first test to see whether a rock is a meteorite, but after we already have other evidence like fusion crust or chondrules or what have you, magnets are extremely useful for sorting out one type or another.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to dig it out, so that should look familiar.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It is.
Oh,
It is magnetic.
I did not think it was going to be that magnetic. Wow.
So, and then just to continue the tour, this is the cool part. So you're talking about SCNs. So they're little, but there's Shergottite.
Oh, the real one.
There's Chassignite, and it literally is. This is a Michael Blood piece. It literally is a speck in there.
Wow.
In the ring.
Yep.
See if I can get it to rotate a little bit.
Yep.
You can see it falling around down there.
Yep.
And there is Nakhlite.
Wow.
Again, it's a speck.
Yeah.
But those are the SCNs, and then moving over, you're one about Acapulcoites. That is
there
Acapulco.
she is.
Down in the bottom. Angrite race, the Angrites.
The original.
That is
now what? Could you, Matt? I'm sorry, Mike. Could you explain what is so important about that Acapulcoite and each of one of these? You know what I mean?
Yeah, certainly. So, we talk about the types of meteorites, and you have, we went through the Angrites, Acapulcoites, Brackonites, etc. And those are all named after the first one that fell that was classified as that type. So when they found Acapulco, they looked at all the other things they knew about meteorites, and they couldn't match it up with anything that they had in existence. So it kind of became that first outlier. So, you know, with the modern day classification scheme, it would sit around and it would wait for 5 others or 4 others of its type to come along, you know, and then they would say, hey, we got enough to show that this is a new type of group. So these are all of the first of their types. Sometimes they're called type falls or type fine. Sometimes they're called prototypes. So I've been trying to go through and get them all for the carbonaceous and also the Achondrites.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm short a couple. So there, Acapulco, Angra. This is Aubrite. That's Lodrin.
For Lodrinites.
Yep, Lodrinites. Nova Uri for the Ureilites. So it's actually should be Novas. And Winona for the Winonaites.
And that's right here in Arizona, isn't it?
And that had a neat story too. That was found in a like a burial cyst. So that was actually buried and treated like a sacred item when it was found. And it was, I guess it was a single big piece when it was found, but as soon as they took it out, it kind of fell to pieces. So, but we touched on the NWA Bracconite. That's one that's like the hen's teeth of Achondrites for getting the type specimen. It's just not out there.
No doubt.
So,
yeah, all the ones that you're showing right now are just absolutely dang near unobtainiums. You know what I mean? It's like getting the original one. And you know, Mike is a sub-gram collector, but even if you weren't a sub-gram collector, to go after the original S and C, you're going to be either laying out your 401k. So let me see if I can get this screen share going. Let me pause this 1 second. All right. So awesome. Hey, thank you, Mike. That's why I'm always glad you're in the Hangouts, because you always fill in the gaps that we're missing. So that was awesome, man.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you including me.
Yeah, dude. I'm jealous of some of the stuff you have, to be quite honest, man. Let's see what we have coming up next.
Here's
one of our favorites. All right, we're talking about HEDs now, and if you haven't figured it out already, the HED is for Howardite. Whoa, where's my laser pointer? Is for the Howardites, the Eucrites, and the Diogenites. Now, I may have to rely on our chemist and our geology majors to help me out, but these are so tightly bound together chemically that it's basically, from my understanding, and again, I'm open to correction, there are 3 basic components in the Howardites, Eucrites, and Diogenites, and then depending on what percentage mix they are is really kind of where it falls in. I will say that plagioclase, which is this crystal right here, is dominant in Diogenite. Besides that, I'll be quiet.
Yeah, so of the HEDs, we believe these are all materials from the asteroid 004 Vesta, and the reason we can say that with some amount of confidence is we've looked very carefully. Vesta is a big asteroid. In fact, I think it's the biggest, and it's been known for a very long time, and reasonably bright. And so we've done a lot of spectroscopy on it, and we can do spectroscopy, reflected light spectroscopy, and discover what minerals are there, and they align very nicely with the Howardites, Eucrites, and Diogenites.
Thank you, sir. And we're actually going to be seeing Vesta later on in today's. So, excuse me, I think this is a really beautiful Diogenite here. And notice this little I wonder if I can use my laser pointer. Notice that this inclusion here looks extremely similar to something like this. Notice how this creamy texture inside of these looks a lot like something you're going to see inside of these. And this may not be a great example, but there are some, like here you go, up in here. There's other diagenites that have that more predominant, but you can see it right in this area right here. So you do see a lot of similarities in the HEDs. That's why they're grouped together, and they are from asteroid Vesta 4 or potential Vestan material. So that was our Meteorite 101 class today on Achondrites. So now we're just going to go a little thinking outside the box. When we're talking about Mars, we've been talking about exploring Mars, and the mission of Mars 2020 is to find life on Mars. But my question is, would you ever live on Mars?
I don't have enough life left.
The one thing that's problematic is that we don't currently have the technology to be able to go to Mars and then return people from Mars. So one of the projects that is part of the Mars 2020 expedition is to understand the chemistry of the rocks more carefully and see if we can derive rocket fuels from the rocks on Mars, and be able to have that capability to send people back from Mars. But for our technology right now, it's a one-way trip.
Well, that's what scientists are working on. They're trying to figure out ways to solve that dilemma. And the NASA Langley Research Center has some information on their page. I just put as little as I could on here to convey the message. You really should go read it yourself if you're interested. But there's a new theory of habitation that is surround the inflatable habitation with solid ice, and it'll repel all the radiation. It'll keep them warm. It'll keep them insulated, and also could be used as an immediate reserve for return fuel if needed. And of course, if you're abandoning your structure on Mars and using your structure for fuel, you're not coming back to that structure. So there's other things in the works, and not gonna name drop, but Elon Musk says he was commenting on this picture up here, which is courtesy of Universe Today. Someone asked him to comment on this, like, realistically, when could this happen? He's like, probably 2028 for a base to be built. Now, I never want to say this guy's too optimistic, but I'll be alive in 2028, so bring it on, Elon. So he
I heard something in a Caltech lecture about, because of Mars' weak, almost non-existent magnetosphere, it would be almost impossible to terraform with greenhouse gases Mars to make the surface livable. The greenhouse gases would escape because of the weak magnetosphere. And, that sounds like, I don't know, they're going to have to restart the core of Mars or something.
Well, I heard a scientist comment just about this a few days ago, and it's escaping me whether it was Elon Musk or an old clip of Carl Sagan. They were talking to him about, I think it was Carl Sagan, they were talking to him about terraforming Mars, and he basically politely interrupted the interviewer and said, before we think about changing another planet, we should fix ours.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like if you can go, okay, proof of concept. Why don't you terraform Earth back to something livable and habitable for humans? And then once you prove that theory, you can think about Mars.
Right.
So this is kind of like an artist's conception of what life on Mars would be, with rockets ready to go, in orbit fueling. One of the things that Pat was alluding to, you need to have a way to get people back and forth. So there's a type of orbit where you can actually have 4 different space pods in orbit and use them in a 6-month cycle. So every 6 months you can have someone come and go from Mars to the orbiting space station that would have to use extremely little fuel to go down to Mars, because most of the fuel is used to escape Earth's velocity and just get on the way to Mars. Once you're actually at Mars, it has such little gravity, it takes very little to get there and to land. So they think that could be a realistic solution.
Yeah, still the launching rockets, even if you're in a fairly low gravitational field, launching rockets and getting up to a fast enough speed to have reasonable transit times between Earth and Mars is still a very, very energy dependent, very energy intensive activity. And so how you take the water and disassociate it into hydrogen and oxygen so that you can make rocket fuel and turn it into liquid hydrogen and oxygen so you can do it in a reasonable volume. Those things are not really all entirely worked out yet.
Yeah, it looks good on paper. Well, do stay tuned, because we're not going to move to Mars, but we're at least going to be drilling on it and flying on it pretty soon.
I guess they
Now,
wanted to use the moon as a springboard once they colonize the moon to go to Mars. And I guess in the water ice or something, they have the potential to make hydrogen-3, which doesn't exist here on Earth. And that's supposed to be like a rocket fuel of steroids.
Yeah, it's tritium. It's an isotope of hydrogen, and it exists on Earth, but in quite small amounts. But we don't really have a fusion rocket technology worked out yet. So
yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be worked out, but there's a lot of teams working on every little aspect of everything. Like we showed last week, I think it was, Ingenuity under the helicopter underneath Perseverance, and how they dropped the debris cage. Then I showed you the test on Earth where they dropped it and dropped it and dropped to make it 100% perfect, that the release is going to go without a hitch. Then once that happens, Ingenuity needs to fold down and then fold down again. And then the legs need to pop out, and then it needs to drop down. So each and every single step needs to be planned and tested and planned and tested. And we're just talking about random little helicopters sitting on Mars. We're not talking about 3 human lives out there. So,
Hey, Topher, just at a point, I saw today that as far as Ingenuity is concerned, that all 4 legs are deployed. I saw a picture that they're pointed down towards the ground. It's sitting about 2 inches, maybe it looks like in the picture, off the surface, and they're getting ready to let it go.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Chris. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of time to really dig in to today's presentation, so I'm glad you guys are able to update us. I'm going to hit pause real quick, guys.
yeah, so the access hatch dropped off, and Ingenuity has unfolded its legs, and like was mentioned by Chris, it's sitting a couple inches off the ground, so they're getting ready to deploy this thing. And in this picture, it's also really cool because of the perspective here. You can see just how thick and how wide the blades are on this thing. The atmosphere on Mars is only about 1% the density of Earth's atmosphere, and so you really have to work hard to get a grab on the molecules in the atmosphere there.
Wow. So this is just like when we took a pause just now, Chris Monk updated us and said that he saw a picture with all 4 legs down, and I was like, we need to throw that in right away. That's awesome. Yeah, latest and breaking news here. Love it.
Yeah. So we also found out that you to check on what's going on, either check their Instagram or Facebook page, because NASA.gov mission page is not getting these photos updated as often, apparently.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself. I preparing for these hangouts, I try to go to NASA.gov or I try to go to NASA sites in general. And for the latest and greatest, you really have to go elsewhere, to be quite honest with you. But let me see here. But there is some cool stuff out there. Let me see here. Okay, you guys can see that hopefully?
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so there is some cool stuff out there. I'm going to leave this on the screen just for a while so people can write it down if they're interested in it. Today I didn't have any volunteers for the tour of the universe, so if anyone would like to re-up, or volunteer to do one, I'd greatly appreciate it. So unfortunately, we don't have anyone presenting a tour of the universe today. So today you have to give yourself a self-guided tour of our solar system. So if you go to this web page at the bottom of the screen, you can read it. It brings you to this. Now, if it wasn't the last day of the month and I'm a commission-only sales rep, I would have wasted a lot of time on this today. Because it brings you to this. Okay, space nerds. Like, all right, let's just look at, here's Mars Odyssey. Let's click on Mars Odyssey. It gives you information. If you double click on it, it's not going to work for me now. Hold on. Let me reload the page, see if it works. Okay, so if you go to the, here's the Mars Odyssey, and you scale in, and you're now looking at that instrument in real time.
Wow, that's cool.
And how it relates to everything else.
Wow.
What's really neat about it is you can go back just down to the Martian system. Takes you out to Mars. Now we had one of the talks was about Triton. So I was trying to find Triton, but I can't find Triton, so let's go to Phobos. How cool is this?
Yeah.
Okay, so far we've just been looking at the Martian system because that was how we got here, but you can click all the way out to the solar system. Mm-hmm. And it gets crazy. Like Saturn is hyper gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And it gives you real-time information of like where everything is. And you can of course spin it around on its axis however you want. You can rotate it around. If you find something else that you like, oh, I want to go to whatever that is. Boom, there you are. Oh, you know what? It's not a planet anymore, but let's give Pluto all that it deserves. So what do we look like from Pluto's point of view? We look like that.
Very tiny.
Yeah, not much going on. So I thought this was really, really interesting and fun to play around with, because as you dig in, you can see more and more and more. So you can actually go out and visit Halley's Comet if you want to. Yeah, and then see where we are versus Halley's Comet. I lost the universe. Where'd the solar system go? There we are. Yeah, so, we were talking about Vesta and how we believe a lot of the meteorites that we are looking at come from Vesta. So if you look at it, this is Vesta, and it has a lot of pits, and that you can actually see the 3D-ness of it. But just a really fun and cool program, I would say, for kids as well. Give this to your kids and let them play with it. But that's one thing, at least, that that NASA.gov is bringing along. I wanted to show you a let me see here. We've been talking a lot about bad stuff on eBay. Well, this is a European site. So this is Catawiki. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it or not. Excuse me. But they really deal in pretty much anything and everything. One thing they do have is a curator of each auction. So I'll show you how you work this. Go down here to categories, archaeology, and natural history. Of course, meteorites, minerals, and meteorites. And we're not going to go for metaphysical stones. No. Meteorites. So what you'll see is there's two different auctions going on right now. These are a little bit different than eBay for two reasons. Hold on. Okay, so Catawiki is different from eBay for two main reasons. Well, a lot of main reasons, but you can see here it's curated by Trevor Boyd. So Trevor Boyd knows minerals and meteorites, and he looks at everything, and he's responsible for making sure nothing is fake on here. Another thing is that works to the advantage of the seller is it's anti-eBay. At eBay, snipers are rewarded. As soon as there's 2 seconds left, you throw up your highest bid. Whoever's the highest sniper wins. Not with Catawiki. Catawiki is a little more seller friendly. If you put in a higher bid, another minute and a half gets added. Someone else gets a chance to put in a bid, another minute is added. You get to put in your bid, another minute and a half, whatever it's. I don't know if it's a minute or minute and a half if it gets smaller, but it's a lot more conducive to getting an honest price for a meteorite, rather than, like, I would never put up an expensive piece on eBay with no reserve. But so those are the two main differences. The auctions close all at one time. So this lot is what we're going to be digging into first. And I just want to show you that everything on here can be trusted. I say that with very little hesitation. You have to be very wary of the seller's claims and the seller's wording, and make sure that they are being scientifically correct and not throwing marketing at you. There have been some respected sellers on here saying that they're the first ones to sell this. Well, they're the first ones to sell it because it just got a name, but everyone's been selling and buying it under Godinez for the last 3 years. So for you to come here and claim that you're the first person ever to sell this stone, it's like, so there, you have to still be wary. But I will tell you, everything on here is a meteorite. But literally, you can scroll through the photos and you make your bids. You have to remember, everything's in euros.
Right.
And then the house takes 9%, 10%, and then shipping sometimes is outrageous. So always pay attention to the shipping. Here it's $16 to the US, or 16 euros. See, I did it. 16 euros to the US, which is not bad. Then there's other, let's look at Venialis, $50 to the US. That's a little extreme for, 23 gram little rock. But this is a another opportunity. I don't want to highlight his stuff anymore. This is just another opportunity to maybe get in on some more expensive or just another avenue to find meteorites that are from a trustworthy source. So Catawiki is the tool. All right, now we're going to do a little bit of show and tell. First one on board is Pat Brown, followed by, Marissa. Nice.
Yeah, so I've got, let me switch back over to my other camera here. Got one more that I discovered in my bins and boxes. And again, it's definitely an oriented sort of shape.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it carefully under the reflected cross-polarized, resolution's not very good. My internet connection may be crappy today, but you can see there's a whole bunch of chondrules in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if the picture had a little higher resolution, you could see that there's a bunch of smaller chondrules you can't see, and a few large chondrules mixed in. And again, this one's got very, very low magnetic attraction. You can pick the magnet up, but you can shake it right off.
Yeah.
So is that a shield meteorite type of orientation?
Yeah, this would be considered a shield shape.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, look at that rounding on it. Jeez.
Yeah. And this one is, it's pretty sandblasted. And because it has an interesting interior, it's probably going to get cut at some point.
I like that. Cool beans. Was that the one you wanted to show?
That's what I had. Back to you.
Nice. All right. Actually, we're going to go right to Marissa if she is ready.
Yes, I am ready.
Ah, sweet. Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. So I'm really loving all the Mars talk and breaking down all our 8 Achondrites. So I broke out some of mine, and I took out my best Mars sample that I have. And there it is.
That's Mars?
It's a little dark.
Wow.
Yes. I don't know if anybody will know straight away which one it is.
If you tell me that's 7034.
Yes, it is.
3704.
Yeah, it's 7034 Black Beauty.
7034. Wow. Black Beauty.
Nice.
Oh my God. One of the most prized Martian meteorites, because it's basically a conglomeration of 12 different stones, or at least all mashed together. So it's like a a sample of 12 stones all at once. Congrats. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's been cut very, 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 very thin. Weight-wise, it's only 0.3 grams, but it's a nice big slice.
Oh,
that's a sizable slice of Black Beauty.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Man.
Yeah, I was pretty bored when I was able to get that.
Wow, I have a little speck that I can zoom into. Wow.
And then I also have see if I can get this shown good enough. Hey, Rich. Come here.
I'm always surprised by what you're able to pull out.
So this so it is towards the camera. Yeah. So this is my Pena Blanca Springs.
Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty happy to snatch that up.
Pena Blanca Springs is a famous Aubrite, so a super rare one.
Yeah, I was very, very happy to get that. I got that off an auction. It was a live sale from a dealer. So
Nice.
yeah, when they pulled that out, I was like, yeah, I need to go fast and get that quick.
And if you notice the white color of it as well mimics the Aubrite I showed earlier from Norton County, you'll find that Aubrites are white like that, with rare exception, I might say.
Yeah, I was so happy with that.
That's
and then
beautiful.
The last two I have are, I've got my little piece of example of Nova Uri.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, I have a feeling I need one now.
Then my last one is my piece of Angrite.
Cool.
Wow.
Nice.
And Marissa does fantastic microscope work. So I don't know if you've posted pictures of or looked at that under the microscope yet, but I'm very curious of what kind of pictures you can take of that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to play with some of these and see what I can do. Because part of the problem is they're too reflective. So the light that shines down is just shining right back at me. So it's really tough to get some of the slices because they've been polished. So they reflect everything right back at you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, like with something rare and small, like those little Angrites, and just like I had little pieces of Nakhlite, which is like $1,000 a gram. Like you don't sneeze, you don't breathe. You do the chocolate rain where you breathe away and you go back and do your So Marissa, thank you so much for sharing your Achondrites with us, and having some really rare ones at that too, like the named the typed ones. That's great.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we love having you. Next, Chris Monk. Let's go ahead and spotlight him. Nice.
So I don't have anything as super rare as that, but I do have a 5.8 gram Martian, I'm gonna butcher this, poikiletic Shergottite.
You get it perfect.
Sitting on Mars, Perseverance rover.
Yep, nice, nice.
Oh, that's a nice slice.
Absolutely. It's kind of thick too.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's substantial.
Oh yeah. That gets you drooling.
Oh yeah, this is my only piece of Mars, but I'm very happy I have it, courtesy of Topher.
Thank you, sir. There's two things on that slice that I want to point out to people. If you notice right there at 1 o'clock, there's a little metal flake. That is a metal flake in Mars. How it got there, I'm not exactly sure. Was it part of the impactor? Is it a relic of Mars? I don't know. And then, go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I think the best explanation is that that's probably part of the impactor. That is for the lunars. That's generally the explanation. Although there was an argument that there was actually some metal on the moon as well. But yeah, the easy answer is probably part of the impactor.
And then Chris, if you turn that slice over on the thicker exterior side, you can actually get a good look at the outside of the stone, the bumps and the yeah. Well, on the bottom facing down, like right. Yeah, but turn it towards us now. No, turn it
Nice.
flat face towards us.
Sorry.
Yeah. Now where you're see all that bumps and all the texture of the outside stone is captured in that as well. And that's really, like you said it perfectly, poikilytic Shergottite. So
Sweet.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah. Thank you,
All right,
man.
thanks, guys.
That's great, dude. Let me see here. I'll put your hand down. Anyone else want to share something? Because I got something I could share. Let me see here. Go for it.
Yes. Is Tucson happening in April?
Well, there's kind of a mini show in April. The real problem is that for the normal Tucson show, so many of the dealers are from Asia and from Africa, and the travel restrictions and such have not been fully lifted there yet, and there's certainly a risk for people traveling from that part of the world. So I think from what I've been able to learn online and learn by talking to some of the meteorite dealers, there's going to be some of the U.S. based dealers and people that have material that's already in country, but it's not anywhere near the full Tucson show, and the meteorite action is going to be quite limited.
Yeah. I thought I saw dates listed April 8th through the 14th. I don't know if that's accurate.
I've seen similar sorts of dates. You know, I'm not vaccinated yet, so I'm not planning on going. I'll be waiting for 2022.
I guess there won't be as many tents set up, and most of the dealing will be going through the motel rooms.
I think that's a good guess, just because the tents tend to be the last spaces to be filled. But in 2022, near as I can tell, it'll be a full-on show. The main meteorite show over the last couple decades has been at the used to be called the Inn and Suites. Now it's Tucson City Center Inn and Suites, or something similar to that, at 475 Granada. But the meteorite our meteorite stuff was part of the mineral and fossil show, and that one has changed management, I think, now a couple of times, and the main part of that is going to be at the El Conquistador Hotel, quite a bit further north in Tucson. and some of the longstanding meteorite dealers will still be at the Tucson City Center Inn and Suites. So I think it's going to be split up more in 2022.
They held the 22nd Street show already, so that's the big tent. I'm not sure if anything else is going to happen there.
Okay.
Well, I'm definitely gonna go whenever they have something. I can run down there for the weekend at least. So when it happens, I'll be there. Trust me.
Yeah, we'll look forward to a report.
Yeah, I'll do another live. Those are really popular on YouTube, and it's nice for people who can't get there.
Yeah, absolutely. We live vicariously through those.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to do this. My phone is not letting me do everything I wanted to do right now. I can't zoom in, for instance, but this is the new Punggur.
Nice.
I got this directly from the main mass holder, Mark. Well, will be the main mass holder when it's published, Mark Lyon.
How many grams?
It's 4.5 grams.
Wow. Nice.
I was really hoping I would be able to zoom in because I wanted to see the crystalline structure in it. But yeah, I wanted to also show the outside, but it's too thin to have a texture like the one that Chris just showed had a really nice texture on the outside. But this is the Indonesian fall. I do unfortunately have some not so great news. While I was in Morocco. Wow. These are from Morocco. While I was in Quartzite, I bought a bunch of meteorites. These are from Morocco. They're unclassified. And there was a good amount of them. So purchased it. Well, I didn't. A client purchased them all. And this is the one that Cameron Smith wanted to buy one of, and I said, well, I better wait until things are classified. Well, he went through the process of cutting a bunch of them, of etching them, and even though it looks like there's a pattern in there, there is no nickel.
Oh, boy.
These are not meteorites.
Nope.
So when I say, like, you can go back and watch the hangout where all of us are discussing this, and I really wish my camera was working a little better, but you may remember this because we were all discussing this and how it got shaped like this with the V channel, and how it was oriented looking. The texture is beautiful. It's not a meteorite. I don't know what it is.
Right.
I don't know what they are, but they have way too little. Well, like here's another one. Tell me that's not an oriented meteorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Northwest Africa, there are tens of thousands of people walking around looking at the ground and picking up things that look like meteorites. And
that one right there, I was like an oriented iron.
Yep. Yeah, they look really, really good.
Well, like you say, even the professionals can get fooled.
That's why we do the science on them.
The client of mine that purchased them is actually a postdoctorate PhD in geosciences.
Wow.
talking about fooling the greatest. I fooled the greatest. No, no. He bought them as unclassified. He knew that there was we assumed they were meteorites. I mean, I was shocked senseless when they turned out not to be meteorites. But what I did is I asked for him to return. We worked out an amicable deal, so there's no hard feelings there. In fact, he sent me a bunch of the sliced ones and a bunch of the whole ones. So I figure it's really good for everyone to have in their collection a great meteor wrong.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it is a good idea.
So I'm going to make these available to the Meteorite, to the Knowledge Bolide crew. All the members, if you guys place an order with me, remind me, and I'll throw one of these in for you. Okay. I have a limited supply of cut ones, and then I have, well, still this is limited, but I have a little bit more whole ones. So whatever your preference is, I asked the to have some of those back for that exact purpose too. If it fooled me and it fooled the client, and it fooled the very trustworthy Moroccan dealer that I bought them from, if it fooled all of us, then I think all of us needs to have one of them in our collection, because it also helps me talk to people when they try to have me identify something from a picture, a hazy picture. I'm like, I'm not saying I'm the best, but even the best, meaning geoscientists, geochemists who do this science for a living, they can't tell, and they spend money for it. You know, how am I going to help you with this hazy picture? You know, I'm fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
I do have one other item that I want to show off, and I kind of want to get your opinion on this. You know how Marco checks in and asks for opinion on, is it oriented? Well, is this oriented or is this flight marked? This is 413 grams. That I really appreciate. Hold on. There we go. It's definitely got flow lines and diffusion crust.
Yeah, there's radiating flow lines there in the sort of the 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock
They're coming in
area. Yeah, yep. And especially if you hold a bright LED flashlight to that at a very low angle across the surface, you'll see those just pop.
Yeah.
So seeing that is enough to say that it's oriented. But the overall shape, it looks like the area on the rounded. Right. Yes, very, very nicely rounded. Yep. Looks like there's some shallow regmaglyphs on the bottom surface.
Yep.
Yeah, that's oriented.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I really expected a harder lip. Look at that big hump.
Yeah, the rollover lip is yeah, you can see it there, and there's on that surface that you're showing now, there's a little bit of weathering, but those radiating flow lines is definitely enough evidence to say, and again, you know, like you mentioned earlier, quite correctly, that you know, orientation is really a continuum. Many meteorites will tumble for a while and then orient into a direction. Some of the Shergottite oh yeah, that's really nice. You can see the flow lines going up and spreading. And some of the Shergottite have multiple orientation features in different directions. So it's a continuum.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I've had that one for a few weeks, and I've been trying to bust it out, and like we didn't have any time in the last few weeks, but I wanted to see and get your opinion because it's not the typical shape, and it does have a little bit of a rollover lip, but not really massive. So, all right. Anyone have anything else they'd like to show off or bring to our attention?
I got one more. Going back to the Meteorongs. This is one that I was looking for a long time. I was finally glad I got one. See if anyone could figure out what that one is.
Oh my gosh, that's the Russian-made one.
Oh, yes, Chertovsky.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Good job. Now, explain to us if you
which was incredibly fun because it's almost more expensive than some calcites.
Yeah, whoever the old boy is that figured out how to do that is quite accomplished. There's a bunch of people have tried.
That what we're looking at here is like the best fake meteorite ever created.
Wow.
I want to know how they did it, and I want my slice.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, wow.
Out of the container.
It comes out for us.
Michael, you got some incredible connections. You've been able to pull off some amazing buys of historic things.
Yeah.
Just keep my ear to the street and talk to as many people as I can.
That's great. Yeah. That is beautiful. Yeah. I tell you right now, if someone offered me kilos of that, I would have been buying it. Wow.
By the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Now
it's definitely a funny one. I saw a cartoon where they were saying, turn it back in, it's fake, and then they showed the next scene in the cartoon, and they're selling it for twice as much as what it was when it was a meteorite.
yeah, exactly. It's done. It's kind of like a forgery that's done so well. Like it's now more famous than the actual art itself. Yeah, like having a Banksy dollar. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day when the Pokemon card thing was really big, I came back from Malaysia with some Chinese counterfeit Pokemon cards that were dirt cheap over there, and I probably committed all sorts of crimes by bringing them back to the United States. But my kids were super stoked to have them because in the trading value, they were the counterfeit ones were worth way more than the real ones.
Wow. That's crazy, man. I'm gonna ask around the horn one more time. Last call. Anyone have anything to show off? Okay, hold on. All right. Well, that was fun. For kind of throwing together at the last minute, the crew came together and made a successful hangout. So I appreciate everyone having their stuff ready to show off. Saw some really great stuff. Marissa had some Achondrites that fit right in with what we're talking about. As always, Mike Kelly fills in the gaps with knowledge and also the rare classes. Doc Brown was in the house tonight. So, and then Chris Monk, a new collector as well, some great pieces. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Have a great week, everyone.
Great hangout, Topher. Thank you.
Thanks, Topher. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys.